Alright. So, today we're going to deal with evilbible.com's page entitled God is Impossible. I'm kind of going off the cuff on this one because looking through it, I didn't see too many Bible verses. So and from what it looks like, these are all feelings and emotions and rationalities that have come to the individual. Again, evilbible.com is a website that is dedicated to, as I would imagine they would say, going through the Bible to promote the evil and atrocities associated with it. Try not to put too many words in y'all's mouth. But they do have a section called God is Impossible, and we're gonna go through it. I have it all printed out right here. The entire section, for me, it came out to 4 pages. And you can go to their website, evilbible.com, to follow along, so you can at least see that I'm not always such a good reader, but I'm going to read everything as it is. I'm not going to add anything. I'm just going to read it and react to it. That's pretty much the point of this. So, Christians consider the existence of their God to be an obvious truth that no sane man could deny. I strongly disagree with this assumption, not only because evidence for the existence of this presumably ubiquitous yet invisible God is lacking, but because the very nature Christians attribute to God itself, to God, but because the very nature Christians attribute to this God is self-contradictory. So that's the introduction to this. We Christians contradict ourselves by stating one thing about him and then say another. Self-contradictory are the attributes we apply to God as a Christian being. All loving, yet he can kill. Just like being the inventor of the iPhone and you're not happy with it, so you decide to trash it and get an Android like a smart person. Anyways, so we'll go to the first one. Proving a universal negative. It is taken for granted by Christians, as well as many atheists, that a universal negative cannot be proven. In this case, a universal negative is the statement that the Christian God doesn't exist. One would have to have omniscience, they say, in order to prove that anything does not exist. I disagree with this position, however, because omniscience is not needed in order to prove that a thing whose nature is a self-contradiction cannot and therefore does not exist. A little bit muddied, but hopefully we get some clarification. I do not need complete knowledge of the universe to prove to you that cubic spheres do not exist. Okay? Such objects have mutually exclusive attributes that would render their existence impossible. Obviously, you can't have a square circle. Where are we going with this? For example, a cube by definition has 8 corners. Okay, I understand that. These properties are completely incompatible. They cannot. A sphere does not have 8 corners. A square does, or a cube does. These properties are completely incompatible. They cannot be held simultaneously by the same object. It is my intent to show you that the supposed properties of the Christian God Yahweh, matter of fact, whatever, like those of a cubic sphere, are incompatible, and by doing so, show Yahweh's existence to be an impossibility. So, what they're going to show us is that, if I'm understanding this statement correctly, that they're going to show us individual cases of his apparent existence that, when held together, show that he's a contradiction. Okay. I can understand that. I do think that to prove that God doesn't exist, you would have to have omniscience, because you can't physically prove something that might be metaphysical. Neither can you prove something to not be metaphysical just because on your physical level it can't be understood or interpreted. I mean, take ayahuasca and tell me whether that's true or not, whether it's real. You know, I at least understand things. So let's understand the fact that if we're going to try to do a universal negative thing, this is a rigorous thing. You know, it's completely obvious that a square and a circle aren't the same. So we can understand that, but we're going to be intellectually honest here. All right, so after proving universal negative, the first thing that comes up is defining God. Before we discuss the existence of a thing, we must define it. I agree. Christians have endowed their God with all of the following attributes. He is eternal, all-powerful, and created everything. He created all the laws of nature and can change anything by an act of will. He is all good, all loving, and perfectly just. He is a personal God who experiences all of the emotions a human does. He is all-knowing. He sees everything, past and future. God's creation was originally perfect, but humans, by disobeying him, brought imperfection into the world. Humans are evil and sinful and must suffer in this world because of their sinfulness. God gives humans the opportunity to accept forgiveness for their sins, and all who do will be rewarded with eternal bliss. But while they are on earth, they must suffer for his sake. All humans who choose not to accept his forgiveness must go to hell and be tormented for eternity. One Bible verse which Christians are fond of quoting says that atheists are fools. I intend to show that the above concepts of God are completely incompatible, and so reveal the impossibility of them being true. Who is the fool? The fool is one who believes impossible things and calls them divine mysteries. Well, okay. I need to see if I can try to understand this mess. So you gave the Christian definition of God based on your interpretation of what Christians believe. I'm not going to say that this isn't right, because I mean, it sounds about right for something that's a creator of something. But then we go into the second paragraph of it, and they begin to explain that God's creation was originally perfect, but humans disobeying him brought imperfection into the world. Humans are sinful and must suffer in this world because of their sinfulness. There's so many things wrong with this interpretation. God gives humans the opportunity to accept forgiveness for their sin. You literally skipped the entire Torah and the prophets and the Psalms of the Old Testament. Because you jumped from there to forgiveness, because you forget the fact that Jews don't believe Christ is even their Messiah. So yes, what you forget is that you think Christians think that literally the earth was created in 6 days. Okay, we're not barbarians. Okay? We're not barbarians. Evolution doesn't bother us anymore, because the evolution that Darwin speaks of is only small differences over a long period of time. Small biological changes over time, not entire body plans. No person in their right mind thinks that people, no Christian in their sane mind thinks that the earth was just created 6,000 years ago. That's ridiculous. So, I think that we need to be careful with where we think we are treading. Because if you have an interpretation in anywhere in here about what a Christian is or what they think, and that's not what Christians think, where's your argument? I hope I don't find one, because that'd be bad for you. Because there is a point where people are delusional. I mean, it is better to interpret Genesis as our interpretation of how everything started. This was all given to Moses. All right? So, understand that what we're fighting against is people, not God. Fight against people. Okay? Let's continue, because I'll get into philosophical nonsense later. But basically, they defined God as what we believe. I'm still waiting for the attributes that appear contradictory. because I've gone almost an entire page and all we've said is, I'm about to prove it. I'm about to prove it. I'm about to prove it. We're just spouting atheistic sound bites. So let's go. Perfection begets imperfection. But for the sake of argument, let's continue. Yes, because you haven't given me anything. You haven't given me anything thus far. You keep saying that I'm going to prove it to you. I intend to show that the above concepts are completely incompatible. It is my intent to show that the supposed properties of the Christian God Yahweh are like those of a cubic sphere. We haven't proved anything yet. So yes, we must continue because you haven't laid out any kind of a case. You just let off sound bites. Let us suppose that this perfect God did create the universe. Humans were the crown of his creation since they were created in God's image and have the ability to make decisions. However, these humans spoiled the original perfection by choosing to disobey God. That's the allegorical assumption, yes. What? If something perfect is perfect, nothing imperfect can come from it. So a perfect creator can't create something that can... What was it? If something is perfect, nothing imperfect can come from it. Someone once said that a bad fruit can't come from a good tree. Yes, but is that true? And yet this perfect God created a perfect universe which was rendered imperfect by the perfect humans. Now tell me, where did all of that perfect come into place? Shall I read through Genesis? No, of course not. Because he said he created everything he created on that day. He said it was good. And that ended the day. He said it was good. He didn't say it was perfect. Maybe people have interpreted things as such. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. Because I don't want to be taken out of context, because maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, he doesn't say anything is perfect. So when you throw perfect in there, you presume that what he created was perfect. No, what he created was good. What he created was good, not perfect. So when you imply imperfection to it, it doesn't work. Because a perfect God who creates imperfect humans is impossible. Now, that's a lie. That's a lie. Everything that has a choice has the choice to be imperfect. He didn't create a robot. He created something that's not autonomous. You have a personality, a soul. You can do what you want. That's not imperfection. Some might call that perfection, to being a robot. So you can't give me the perfection begets imperfection argument as being valid, because that's not what Christians believe, and that's not what's even written about it. Nothing about it was perfect. Was it a utopia, a place where they lived? The environment, Eden, was it perfect? If you want to say that all your needs are constantly met as long as you follow the rules, okay, maybe that is perfect. It depends on what you believe. For most people, that's the idea of socialism. Having no more and no less of what you need. So, what are we going to do about this fact that perfection begets imperfection? It doesn't hold up. You can't do that argument, at least the one that you laid out. Maybe lay out another argument for it, and I'll accept it. But as of what's on the website, I mean, that's not what it reads. It doesn't say perfect. All he says is it's good. And that when he was done, it was very good. Because there wasn't anything imperfect about what was happening. What was there? Things were good. They weren't bad. If we want to call that perfect, we can. Where all things are good and not bad. But that's not the language or the wording about it. Okay? So, when we say that he created people, he said that they were good, not that they were perfect. So, people disobeyed him, that's their choice. But you unfortunately have to suffer for it. You know, you were doing good until you wanted to do what you want. Now you have to deal with the consequences of that. And that's just nature. We can get more into that later if we wish. So I'm going to stop that right there. There's still more. I pretty much just finished the first page. The next we have a free will argument. All-knowing, an all-good God knowingly creates future suffering and infinite punishment for finite sins, and belief more important than action. Perfection's imperfect revelation. Things of that nature. So we'll get to that point later. Right now, I mean, so far we only got one argument, and the argument doesn't work. And that's that a perfect God could not create something imperfect. Because you know God. Obviously, you don't know God because you don't think he exists. So maybe you need to study a little more so you can understand what it is you're talking about when it comes to what's the nature of God. And maybe we'll get into it another day, because there is arguments that God condones mass murder and slavery and torture and rape and pillaging and plundering and scary socialism stuff. All right, we'll get to it another day. I'm real interested in seeing how this all comes out, because this is a real fun fun topic for me. It's fun for me to go through and read this in real time and try to at least give you something else to work with, because it's like, if you want to argue about it, it's like you have to know what you're talking about. I'm not going to say I don't know anything about it. You know, one thing I do know is that you're the what's it? The American Atheist Association? Not the AAA. Whatever the Silverman guy runs. They're a 401c3 nonprofit organization, and one of the things about Christians is that they're like, oh, that makes them religious, and it's like, no. PETA's a 401c3, and it just falls under the fact that it's a nonprofit organization. It only goes to advance the business which they're trying to do, like for them promoting atheism. It doesn't make them religious. But I think you are, whoever you are, invisible pink unicorn. Because as you say, you're atheist, you know, giving sermons and about, I don't know if you're serious. I don't know who you are. Maybe we can talk one day. Maybe we can go through all of this, you know, because it's one of those things that it's like, look, I'm not. One of your things I read about Jesus' lies is that I can ask anything for in prayer, and I can get it. I would not pray for your salvation. No. To be saved right now. Because then you wouldn't learn anything. Me as an atheist, I had to learn I was wrong by admitting where I was being a liar and being disingenuous and trying to add oranges to an apple tree. You have to be very careful with how you do this, because from the way it looks already, it looks like you're pulling out Richard Dawkins style sound bites of the evil, brutal God of the Bible. That sort of nonsense doesn't work and doesn't woo people over, except those who are insane ideologues. Again, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. You just have to come up with because it's you trying to prove to me that this argument works. Some of them have already. If you go back and you look at one of the last videos that I've done, there's a quote in there that really jars me enough. I mean, it does. And these things still do. But in totality, I know that the whole Bible is people suck and do horrible things on a regular basis and think that they've got God's backing when they do it, and then God punishes them every time that they do. And then Jesus came along and said, guess what? You guys are going to keep messing up. If you want to be saved, I've got to do it myself. Since you people suck at your job, I've obviously got to do something about Then he did something about it. He was offered as the sacrifice. And that's what did it all. There is not a Christian in this world who's going to say, and if they're being honest, that they're perfect. Because there's no way for any of us to be perfect. I'm not going to be holier than thou, because I'm not. I'm trying to take care of the world at large. And it is my true belief that atheism is degrading the world because it feels special. If you were to just read a book, you would see that the path we're trying to take leads only to one. You don't want Trump to win. Fair enough. I'm not getting into a political debate on here about anything. But you need to read a book. You have to understand that people suck. You know why socialism doesn't work? It's because the people at the top implementing the socialism have a taste of power. And power always corrupts. That's why the only power needs to be someone who isn't bent on killing and destroying you. The God of the Bible is not like that. Anytime the God of the Bible kills, it's either because you have been judged to do something wrong, so you must be punished for it. Or, really, I think that's it. You're punished for doing the wrong thing. Something that's immoral, that's wrong. Like sacrificing babies to what would be to him false idols by burning them in their hands. Babies with ball. So, I know I went off on a little emotional tangent. That's my own. But this is it. You have to be able to be honest. I understand your reason for this, atheists. I understand. I wasn't happy when I figured out that I was being disingenuous about it. Heck, I used evilbible.com to promote my atheistic ideas because they fit. But when I looked at it more than surface level, there was more to it than that. All you got to do is keep studying and keep reading and look at it without being objective. I got to reinstate that. The only reason I oppose these things is I've looked at them in an objective way. I've read them for what they are. Things are a way that they are. You can always put words into something, but then that's a problem. So just be careful. Until next time.